Disappear. One day it's like a miracle. It will disappear.
Because coronavirus isn't going away. It's going to be endemic. It's going to be in our population.
Disappear. One day it's like a miracle. It will disappear.
And my wife is not going to immunize our kids.
It'll ultimately be the warm weather, which is hopefully going to slow it down a lot, and the vaccine, which will have in 6 months, which will knock it back.
My wife is not going to immunize our kids. My wife is not going to immunize our kids. Because I've got 4 of them, and when I go home, I'm not Dr. Oz, I'm Mr. Oz.
We trusted the scientists back in 1976 with the original swine flu shot, and a lot of people got sick. Right. Not only that, some people died, some people were paralyzed. From the shot itself. And people remember the swine flu vaccine as a terrible disaster.
But this is one time. Forget the conspiracy. Listen to our government agencies. These guys are telling the truth. You know, there's no conspiracy here, folks. Just get your damn vaccine. Just get your damn vaccine. Just get your damn vaccine.
Not only that, some people died, some people were paralyzed. From the shot itself. And people remember the swine flu vaccine as a terrible disaster.
Disappear. One day it's like a miracle. It will disappear.
So we've talked to the people here in Utah that have gotten it. Well, they're not here in Utah right now, but that have gotten it. They said, well, I felt fine, you know, the whole time.
What's tricky about this virus is oftentimes symptoms are so subtle you don't even know you have it when you're contagious.
Spread by people without symptoms?
That's a major concern, David. You've seen people coming into the United States at airports being tested for having a fever. Well, the big concern here is all the people who don't show any symptoms who could still pass along the coronavirus to other people.
Disappear. One day it's like a miracle. It will disappear.
What I've directed the CDC to do is that as soon as somebody is diagnosed with Ebola, we want a rapid response team, a SWAT team, essentially from the CDC, to be on the ground as quickly as possible.
So you just mentioned contrails. So how do the contrails affect or have an impact on the climate?
Right. Well, contrails have a huge impact on climate. And so, in fact, some of the recent modeling work that has come out of DLR suggests that contrails today, just the ones that we're able to see up in the sky, maybe today, this week, this month, have a larger impact on Earth's climate than all of the carbon dioxide emitted by aircraft since the first powered airplane flight. So that's a huge effect. And so even as CO2 accumulates, greenhouse gases accumulate in the atmosphere, the impact of these contrails trapping heat and reflecting sunlight back into space is having a huge effect on the Earth's energy balance. And so
that's right, ladies and gentlemen, they're dumping more particles this week than all of the aviation since the very first plane. That's why our skies are so toxic. That's why we're all have a chest infection. That's why we're all sick. That's why all the plants and the trees and the bugs are dying. Let's get into this a little bit deeper.
And I'm interested in understanding how aerosols or particles that are emitted by jet engines in the atmosphere go on to evolve in the atmosphere and then also influence their ability to form the contrails that we see up high in the sky as well as clouds.
So a meteorologist over here on the fake book, meteorologist Brian Bennett. Look at, this is coming from the satellite feeds from the International Space Station, showing all the things here. He put, I was just watching the live feed from the International Space Station when I was a little surprised by what I saw. There appears to be more jet contrails in the sky over the southeast United States than natural clouds. Boy, you got that right. The first picture is from the ISS looking down southeast from 270 miles above. The second picture was taken from the ground in Tennessee. There are currently over 5,000 aircraft in the skies over the U.S. If all commercial air traffic were halted, the average temperature in the U.S. would increase by 2 to 3 degrees due to less cloud cover. So here's another meteorologist trying to make this look like a good thing. They're trying to normalize the aerosol spraying of the skies.
The 5G system is a WiGig wireless network that operates in the 60 gigahertz spectrum with download speeds of up to 10 gigabytes per second compared to the 4G download speeds of 10 megabytes per second. The frequency of 60 gigahertz is the frequency at which oxygen molecules oscillate. At 60 gigahertz, 98% of the transmitted energy will be absorbed by atmospheric oxygen, which then alters the orbital properties of the electrons of the oxygen molecules. 60 gigahertz is the frequency of oxygen molecule absorption. Oxygen molecules have electrons that they share with each other. Oxygen is a diatomic molecule. What we breathe are two oxygen molecules bonded together with the electrons that they share. When the oxygen molecule is hit with 60 gigahertz 5G waves, these waves affect the orbital resonance properties of those shared electrons. It is those shared electrons that bind to the hemoglobin in our blood. When the oxygen is disrupted, it will no longer bind to the hemoglobin and myoglobin or oxygen-carrying molecules, and therefore will not be able to carry oxygen to the cell's powerhouse or mitochondria. Without oxygen, the liver becomes congested, and the body and brain begins to break down due to slow suffocation. Because the brain is the body organ most sensitive to the lack of oxygen, not getting enough oxygen to the brain will result in brain hypoxia. Brain hypoxia symptoms range from mild to severe. Mild symptoms include cognitive disturbances, temporary memory loss, reduced ability to move your body, difficulty paying attention, difficulty making sound decisions. Severe symptoms include fainting, seizure, coma, brain death. Continuing, what do 5G and masks have in common? They both lead to oxygen deprivation. The masks may play another role in restricting breathing ability. The spectrum for 4G starts from 700 megahertz to 5 gigahertz frequency bands compared to the frequencies below 5G previously used by mobile devices. Millimeter wave technology allows transmission on frequencies between 30 gigahertz and 300 gigahertz. These frequencies are called millimeter waves because they have wavelengths between 1 and 10 millimeters, while the wavelengths of the radio waves currently used by smartphones are mostly several dozen centimeters. Health effects of cumulative low-intensity radiofrequency radiation exposure include DNA mutations, mitochondrial damage, tumors, heart palpitations, memory and cognitive problems, infertility, headaches, migraines, ringing of the ears, which I've had a lot of lately, ADHD, anxiety, depression, heart disease, type 2 diabetes. Radio frequency, microwave radiation affect the Schumann resonance signals, which are the mechanism through which melatonin production is activated. The frequencies also affect the body's ability to produce vitamin D, and vitamin D deficiency causes cold and flu. Due to the weakening of the immune system, this is the reason why people are prone to cold and flu in the winter season. I don't think I could say this enough. I don't know everything. I know very little. But I know enough to try to open up my eyes and pay attention to what's going on around me. I know that much. Why am I making these videos? Sometimes I ask myself that question. I'm tired. These videos aren't very well made, but they represent hours and hours of my time researching these subjects, trying to understand them, trying to put it together in a way that makes some sense, trying to take information from several places and put it together so that maybe you'll see it. Maybe you'll have questions for yourself to look into and try to answer. There's two other recent videos. One about what viruses really are. Do they really exist? At least do they exist the way that we're told they do? The mutating, weaponized, invisible monsters that have us all living in fear today. And another video about the history of the theory of virology and immunology.
Well, it's cold here in southeast Louisiana.
I hope you'll watch those too.
We're told that it's because we got
What's the point of this video?
Maybe.
To show you, in conjunction with other things that I've talked about
But this is not just about air temperature.
in videos that I've put up related to this
Because we don't see the sun.
boogeyman,
You think I'm crazy? I'm watching
pesticides,
all across
the disinfectants that are being sprayed everywhere. They can cause these symptoms. The damage to our mitochondria in our very cells. The toxic overload that we have to deal with. So much of the food that's grown and harvested is sprayed with glyphosate just before it's harvested.
Might be getting some solar heat gain. It's all like stuff.
The food is chemically fertilized, chemically processed, packaged up in chemical laced bags and cans. Heck, so much of the food isn't even food. We're drinking in the chemicals from our municipal water. We're drinking it in plastic water bottles. We're slathering it on our bodies. Our shampoos, our conditioners, our shave creams, our deodorant, the powders that we use, the lip balm that we put on our lips, sunscreen, God forbid, the diaper creams that we put on our babies. Our bodies are full of free radicals and toxins. Have we taken the time to look into the damage that electromagnetic frequencies do to our bodies? Have we taken the time to look into what this new 5th generation technology is really all about? How it can in fact work in conjunction with the toxins that are already in us? Do we think that the idea of nanotechnology, smart dust, nanobots, do we think that this stuff is all just science fiction, or have we taken the time to find out that it's anything but? How many of us have looked up at the sky, thought hard about whether or not that's what it used to look like? I'm just trying to help you see. Our world is toxic. It's toxic to our heart, toxic to our mind, toxic to our soul, toxic to our whole body. We can see these terrifying symptoms from all sorts of reasons. Some of them we won't have any control over. 5G platforms way up in the sky, beaming down 60 gigahertz microwave frequencies down on the whole earth, they say. We can choose to drink clean water. We can choose what we put on our bodies. We can choose maybe not to buy brand new clothes laden with forever chemicals that make that clothing fire retardant. maybe not brand new carpets, and maybe not formaldehyde-filled insulation. These aren't easy choices, but there's choices that we can make. So, I'll tell you all of the research that I've done. Enough hours that add up to days. Trying to understand all of these things. What are viruses? What's the history of our pharmaceutical companies? What's this technology they're pushing on us really all about? What are the real dangers that we face in our environment? Not to be afraid of, but to be aware of and be making changes in the way we live to combat the real true dangers before us, instead of sitting down and watching television or staring at our smartphones, soaking in the fear. One of the things that all of these hours has done for me, that I've spent looking into these things, is it's brought me an increasing amount of peace. To know that I don't need to be fearful for myself or my beautiful family. Just be aware. And realize that how we take care of our temple matters. Matters more than we know. More than we've been taught, more than we've been led to believe. No fear, brothers and sisters. March forward in knowledge. March forward to learn. March forward in peace and confidence in the Creator who made us. Let's seek first the kingdom, and everything else we need will be added unto us. Shalom, friends.
Disappear. One day it's like a miracle. It will disappear.